So I wanted to take a few minutes with this video to talk about three very interesting PlayStation 5 stories, and if you could hit that like button on the video, thank you to those that do it, and as always, it's very much appreciated. Now, the stories I wanted to cover today include Sony's counter to recent news that they obviously can't just say yet. We're going to talk about the Bloomberg article as well, Jeff Ross's interview from yesterday, Days Gone 2 details, Sony's counter to Gamepass, and Sony expanding into mobile. First, let me know and be honest here, have you finished Days Gone? It's okay if you didn't. The game is long, so it's understandable. I'm just seeing so much love for the game right now, which is deserving in my opinion, but a lot of this love wasn't there originally, but it seems to have grown over time. So I'm just curious how many of you have actually finished the game. So comment below, have you finished Days Gone or not? Let me know down in the comments below. Now, diving into the first story of the video, mobile games expansion. So the story here basically is that Sony has a new position open up for a head of mobile at PlayStation Studios with the description, do you want to lead the development and strategy of mobile gaming and help shape the future of gaming for a world-class studio? As head of mobile, you will own and develop the mobile game strategy for PlayStation Studios and help build a foundation for future growth opportunities. You will lead all aspects of the expansion of our game development from consoles and PCs to mobile and live services, with a focus on successfully adapting PlayStation's most popular franchises for mobile. You will be responsible for building and scaling a team of mobile leaders and will serve as the head of this new business unit within PlayStation Studios. So the idea here is basically to move over Sony's IPs to mobile. I saw people putting this idea down, but I'm not sure how people still don't see the benefits here. Sony is expanding heavily into movies and TV shows to gain more attention and exposure and more money. Sony is looking to move into mobile again here, where small apps make billions of dollars to again make more money and gain more attention and exposure. This new money allows them to invest back into new games and new experiences. So I'm excited to see what mobile games they come up with. This could also be a way to have older Sony IPs revived in a new way on mobile. So that possibility is exciting as well. Now, diving into the second story of the video, PS5's counter to Game Pass. So we've been hearing about Sony's counter to Game Pass many times. Where is it? What is Sony going to do? As someone who has Game Pass, I see the value, and if Sony combined PlayStation Now and PlayStation Plus into one service, which right now, by the way, if you buy both are about the same price as Game Pass Ultimate, that would be a great value too. PlayStation Plus in its current state brings big hits, but I can't deny Game Pass's day one launches like Outriders, which saved me a lot of money, and I'm not sure if Sony would ever do that as well. In terms of the story, people were quoting David Jaffe, and if you watch David Jaffe, you know the guy is misquoted often, but in terms of the Game Pass counter, David Jaffe said this: what I can tell you is I know they are doing some stuff because I know people at Sony who have told me that they are doing some stuff. There will be a response to Game Pass. So I'm not sure what the response is. I don't think David Jaffe knows again here, but in an ideal world, it would be proper backwards compatibility to open up those old games, combine PlayStation Now and PlayStation Plus into one service, and start from there. I also don't think it's out of the realm of possibility to have you put in an old disc. The system recognizes it and provides the PlayStation Now streamable version of the game to play for something like PlayStation 3 games, and if Sony brings the latency levels on par with something like Stadia, that would be as close as we get to local backwards compatibility. We'll of course see how Sony plays this come this summer when the stores are set to close, but getting back to the services, the only big advantage I still see for Game Pass here are those day one launches, but we've seen Sony launch things like Destruction All-Stars and Oddworld Soulstorm day one on PlayStation Plus, so let's see what happens moving forward. But you guys let me know if you think Sony needs a counter to Game Pass or not? Let me know down in the comments below. Finally, diving into the big one here, the Bloomberg articles, Jeff Ross's interview, the Days Gone 2 leak, and Sony's counter to recent news that they can't just say yet. So let's go over the Bloomberg article here. I'm going to sum up the important parts, but I definitely recommend people go check it out for themselves if they haven't. But getting into it, the Bloomberg article points to Sony being heavily focused on AAA titles and their most popular studios like Naughty Dog at the detriment to other smaller studios on the Sony first-party roster. The story breaks down to this. We'll start off with the Visual Arts Service Group, or VASG, and move over to the other parts of the story. This team has been the focus on multiple videos of mine because we thought the new group that was forming there were actually making the next Uncharted, but according to the Bloomberg report, they wanted to tackle remaking the first Uncharted, but that was too much work, too much money, so they settled on remaking the original Last of Us, which was more modern in comparison to the first Uncharted. This was approved by Sony and the team started work on it, but what ultimately ended up happening was Naughty Dog taking over the helm on the remake because the cost provided by the Visual Arts Group secret team was too high for a remake, according to Sony, and according to this report, which says that Sony believed that it was too high for a remake, and Naughty Dog being the original creators, so it made sense that they would take over the helm, which of course people over at the Visual Arts Service Group weren't happy. They weren't happy about that situation, which led to multiple people leaving the company. Now moving over to Sony Bend, according to the Bloomberg article, they pitched Days Gone 2 to Sony, and we'll get into that pitch later on in the video, but it failed to go through, so the studio started assisting Naughty Dog on Factions 2 and a new Uncharted game, not a remake. The article states that people at Bend feared being absorbed by Naughty Dog and asked to be taken off the Uncharted project, and last month started work on a new IP, so this Uncharted project seems to be in limbo right now for the time being. Moving over to the Jeff Ross interview that happened yesterday, Jeff Ross, for people who don't know, used to work at Sony Bend as a director on Days Gone. He left in December and now works at Mortal Kombat NetherRealm. So if you watch the interview as a whole, you can tell that Jeff wasn't trying to step on any toes or cause chaos, which makes sense, but there are some things that he said that were interesting. One big one was that he outright denied that Sony Bend was possibly going to become a Naughty Dog support team, but confirms that they were helping Naughty Dog because in the early days of development, there isn't much to do for people, for employees, for people working there, so idle hands got some work to do, which is very reasonable. Even in my field as well, if you finish the work on your project, another team might need some assistance, you go help them out, why not? In the Bloomberg article, it made it seem like they were forced to do this, so in this case, I'll let you guys believe what you want. Were they forced, or what happened was what Jeff Ross said, and they actually just didn't have work to do at the time because it's early days of development, so they assisted Naughty Dog. You believe what you want in that situation. Jeff Ross also in Jaffe's interview said never say never, maybe just not right now, when talking about Days Gone 2, which also kind of points to the game not being in development, but maybe a possibility in the future. And to add to that, Jeff Ross retweeted Jason Schreier, who wrote the Bloomberg article, basically saying Jason has more leeway, to be honest, compared to him, which also again here points to some accuracies on the Bloomberg article. So that's where we're at on that. It seems like Days Gone 2 is not happening for now, but never say never. Moving over to the Days Gone 2 pitch, then Sony's response that they can't really talk about. So the Days Gone 2 pitch. This information comes from Jeff Ross. Apparently, Days Gone 2, the sequel, was going to include multiplayer co-op. The idea was for a shared universe, a shared co-op universe. They wanted co-op in the first game, but that never happened. In the sequel's pitch, the idea was to have a secondary mode that would have something like Deacon, who's the main character, trying to build a base and crew to survive. The idea was to have that done cooperatively, building, fighting hordes, and surviving. which to me, as a zombie fan, regardless, you guys know how much I love zombies, sounds amazing. And hopefully that vision does come to fruition at some point in the future, hopefully with the sequel in the future after whatever they're working on right now, the new IP they're working on right now. And now about Sony's response. So that was Days Gone 2's pitch for multiplayer co-op, but what about Sony's response to the whole situation that's going on in the internet right now? So the whole internet came at Sony's throat this past weekend for not supporting smaller experiences or focusing too much on existing IPs, which in itself was ridiculous. Let's counter this right now for Sony. So in terms of first-party studios, they're not only working on their existing IPs, which some are literally new IPs, by the way, like Horizon Forbidden West, which is a sequel to Horizon, which is a new IP, and Ghost of Tsushima literally just came out last year. So Naughty Dog, while they are reportedly working on the Last of Us remake, Last of Us 2 remaster for PlayStation 5 and Factions 2, the studio is large enough to be working on another game, possibly a new IP, but this is just a guess. Sony's Santa Monica, however, this is confirmed. They are working on God of War Ragnarok and a new IP. Guerrilla Games are working on Horizon 2 and a secret multiplayer game. Sony London, possibly Blood and Truth 2, but confirmed recently to be working on a brand new franchise for PlayStation 5. Bend Studio, a new IP for PlayStation 5. Pixel Opus, new IP for PlayStation 5. Insomniac Games are finishing up Ratchet & Clank, so I wouldn't be surprised if alongside Spider-Man 2 they had something else cooking. And Sony literally funds external projects like Jade Raymond's Haven Studio for their first game and Blue Box Studio, which is a small indie team, with the recently announced Abandoned for PlayStation 5. So the point here is Sony is focusing on their existing IPs, but are also creating new ones. Looking at indies, you have Kena Bridge of Spirits, Bridge of Spirits, Little Devil Inside, Solar Ash, Destruction All-Stars, Oddworld, Soulstorm, etc., and so on. These are just some of the ones Sony are promoting, not including the indies they showcase heavily at their events. Sony is literally hitting all fronts, pushing existing IPs, creating new ones, funding external startups, pushing indies, and I'll throw in VR. They showcase VR games heavily as well. Sony has literally been pushing every avenue, which they should be doing, and I think this narrative of Sony boxing themselves in has some merit in terms of big blockbusters, but that doesn't stop them from creating or pushing new experiences. In the words of Jeff Ross, Sony is still pretty much hands-off when it comes to developers. They let them do what they want. But you guys let me know if you're upset with Sony or not. Let me know down in the comments below. And if you guys did enjoy this video, please hit that like button, as it always helps. And subscribe if you're new. I got new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And now I'll check you guys out on the next one. And welcome back to the after show. This is the part of the video where we have a little fun down in the comments below. If you're old, welcome back. If you're new, welcome. For today's thing, what I want you guys to do is the body, obliterate, destroy, and overall harass the comment section with "Play has no limits." If you're excited to see what Sony has in the future, what new IPs they have, or sequels that you're excited about, destroy the comment section with "Play has no limits," and I'll definitely heart those comments like I always do, because I appreciate everybody who stays to the end of my videos. And now I'll check you guys out on the next one.